Have you ever wondered about the early days of Santa Claus? You know, like when did he come to live at the North Pole and why? Like, how is it that Santa came to have elves helping him? And why elves? Well, for the first time, I'm going to tell you the whole story. And you might be surprised to learn that this legendary partnership was entirely the work of one wise old elf. In fact, he's probably the most famous elf you've never heard of. Of course, in the enchanted world, Cotton Ice Joe is legendary. It's said he had the courage of Elrond and wisdom surpassed only by Galadriel herself. But he's super uber famous for preventing the Great Vanishing. Here's how the story was told to me when I was no bigger than a snowball. Through the ages, humans welcomed the presence of pixies, gnomes, fairies, sprites, and other such folk. Most magical folk can still recall a time most homes and many individuals had a supernatural companion of their own. Eventually, though, as each new society relied more on science, it would slowly begin retreating from the realm of magic. And religious leaders denounced such superstitions from the pulpit until over time it became risky to even talk about magical beings. But here's the thing, it takes a bit of effort to manifest in our physical world, so most mystical beings only bother doing so when they want humans to see them. Otherwise, they're just fine remaining in the ethereal world. For some time, there had been a growing consensus that magical beings should simply abandon the world of man entirely, for all time. And a meeting of the Supreme Council of Enchantment was called to discuss it. Many cried out against such a move, and still others wept openly. But one by one, those opposing voices fell silent until the ambassador from the kingdom of the elves took the floor to give his now famous speech, which, as you know, is read word for word every Christmas Eve while Santa and his team prepare for takeoff. In the silence which fell as he rose to his feet, Cotton Ice Joe began speaking softly, but even those in the back could clearly hear every word. The stillness deepened as he addressed them without raising his arms or his voice, but from the highest lords to the least among them. He would briefly lock eyes with every one of them as he spoke, before moving on. "Everything the others have stated is true," he said. "Yes, mankind has rejected the world of magic in favor of science and religion, all while ignoring the intrinsic contradiction between those two. But my friends and my lords, so long as one human remains pure enough of heart to see and hear us, and that human asks us for help, who is there among us that would not do anything we could to help that person?" A quiet murmur of general agreement spurred him onward. "And I know a very good man who spends his evenings creating toys out of whatever he can find or make or grow, so he can gift them to what he calls nice children. Kids who help out at home, for example, or obey the rules when nobody's looking. Despite all the lives he's touched in his hometown, he's always wanted to do more. But what's worse is, local folks have started taking him for granted, and that's not right. His name is Santa Claus. We've spent many an evening chatting as he worked, And though he never asked for my help, neither did he reject it when I offered. I remember thinking how easy it would be to use my magic to make all those toys at once. But as I watched and copied what he was doing, I gradually began to understand what it meant to him. And I'll admit it, before long, I really did enjoy carving and painting and gluing with him. But the best part was how Santa talked about each toy and the child he intended to give it to. He was always so cheerful, so downright jolly. But friends, I did see a tear in Santa's eye once, and that was when he said something that may provide direction to this council at our moment of greatest need. Cotton Eye Joe's voice rose slightly as he quoted Santa's mantra. I only wish I could do this for every child. Friends, Santa is showing us how to keep magic in this world. Joe spoke for the better part of an hour, describing an expedition which the elves wanted to lead to the North Pole, which he called the last place on Earth. And he described a village they would build there, where Santa and Mrs. Claus could use all the magic they wanted, and how they could finally make enough toys for all the children in the world. In closing, Cotton Eye Joe offered to personally lead that expedition, and he announced that he would stay there until they also found a way for Santa to deliver all those gifts to all those children all around the world. Spoiler alert, they found one. But the antler saga will have to wait for another night. Pandemonium broke out in the Great Hall as he finished speaking, and much later the council realized that an official vote had never been taken, because they'd all marched right out the door to get started. By the time Santa and Mrs. Claus could make their way to the North Pole, it was nearly finished. House, workshop, barn, bakery, even a post office where the kids could address their letters to Santa. But soon, he was needed back in the elven world, so we all gathered to bid our fondest farewell to the elf who launched Santa Claus, Cotton Eye Joe. Ho, ho, ho.